Thanks very much for your interest and for being here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the time.
Sure.
Well, let me start out with your basic campaign is about getting jobs and more jobs and stuff. How would you get more help small businesses to create jobs specifically? What are those?
Well, I think the best way that you can get, that you can incentivize small businesses so that they can grow is to keep money in their pocket. I think you keep money in the pocket of small businesses and entrepreneurs by reducing the tax burden. And I think, and I have on my jobs plan that is posted now on the website that I'd call for a one-year holiday for the employer's portion of a payroll tax. Let them keep that money and utilize it to either hire more employees or to grow their business. Also, I would like to look into the regulations that are making it very difficult for a lot of the local banks to lend. And I've talked to local banks who've said, some of them say, I have assets to lend, but I don't have people coming through the door. Because those people, potential borrowers, are just unsettled. They don't know what regulations are coming down, they don't know what taxes, they don't know how the new health care bill is going to impact them, so they're hesitant to reach out and to grow. On the other hand, I hear from some businessmen and women and entrepreneurs that they need very much to have working capital, and they can't get it from the local bank that they have gotten it from before because the regulations, are stricter and tighter at this particular point. So, and combine that with the credit card reform that has reduced credit lines and bumped interest up at this particular time. So it's really difficult for small businesses. So I think primarily it's making sure that the rules and regulations get passed. I mean, I really do not want to see cap and trade passed because I think that's going to cost jobs and it's going to increase taxes. It's going to be more of a burden also on small businesses as well as the consumers. And I would, card check would be just terrible legislation to pass, which will impact small, medium, and big businesses. So that's a regulation that I don't want to see passed. In order to create jobs too, I think we have to look at developing alternative energy sources. Wind, solar, geothermal, and our fuel cells that we have right here in Connecticut, and nuclear. In fact, today I was at NRG and toured their plant and had very good conversation with the folks there at NRG. So just learning. I'm learning more too. So I think creating an environment of stability for businesses so that they would know what their taxes are going to be. Can they get money, working capital, to help them with their businesses? And making sure that the rules and regulations aren't just stifling the life out of small businesses.
A lot of people, fortunately, right now don't have jobs, and one of the big controversies in the last few days has been about, last week has been about extending unemployment benefits. And Senator John Kyle has said that if we're going to do that, we should offset it with savings somewhere else in the budget. But he said that the tax cuts that are supposed to expire, he thinks they should be extended, but that they don't need to be offset because that's our money and we should be able to keep it. And we shouldn't just, it's not, cut somewhere else or give the government money somewhere else. How are you feeling about the unemployment benefits and whether that needs to be, we need to find other places in the budget to cut in order to extend that?
I think there are ways to cut to pay for it. I mean, if we pay down our debt, we're paying $1 billion a day in debt service. $1 billion a day. That's a lot of money just to pay for our debt. If we took the balance of the TARP money and used that to pay down the debt, I'd stop stimulus and pay down debt with stimulus money. But I do think that there is, there is some suggestion that unspent stimulus money would be used to extend employee benefits, and that's just using more borrowed money to do it. I think there are ways to find, I think there are means to find ways to pay for, the extension.
But if you were in the Senate now and the debt is, figuring out how low the debt is going to be able to be figured out in the next week, how would you vote?
I'd vote, well, I really want to see the proposals that are there. I think it was John Thune a few weeks ago had sponsored, and you know what, I'd have to, it's been a couple of weeks since I looked at it. I'm not sure if that was on the tax extender bill, just what, but he had offered ways to pay for extending unemployment. And one was to, it was to cut federal employees' salary. I think it was 5% across the board, to freeze certain benefits. And it was also to have federal employees pay back income taxes. We really wasn't quite sure, what he meant by that, but I think it's certainly, definitely worth looking into. So I think there are suggestions to pay for extending unemployment benefits, and we should definitely look into that.
And then you mentioned alternative energy. Of course, one of the big things we're all concerned about right now is the Gulf oil disaster. Are you at all concerned? I mean, you've come out in favor of drilling in the Arctic Wildlife Refuge and the Outer Continental Shelf. Does this accident concern you at all? Do you think we can still drill for oil in the deep water, like in the refuges like that?
Well, I think the accident concerns us all, and clearly we want to make sure that we leave that next generation after that with a great environment, clean water, clean air. But at the same time, I think we have to look at, exploring our natural resources here. We should not have, a repeatable accident as we had with BP. I think there were safety measures that were overlooked. I think BP took shortcuts, and the rigs should have re-inspection to make sure they're safe. But I do believe we should, continue to drill. But with all safety measures, I don't agree, with the moratorium. I do believe that I think Governor Jindal had the best idea when he said, let's take a breath, re-inspect the rigs, make sure that all the safety measures are in place, and when they're recertified and safe, to go forward.
Because there have been stories about a lot of rigs out there that could be in the same situation.
That's why they need to be re-inspected with the new safety regulations in place.
And if they're found not to have the safety regulations or the safety things in place that the one that the Deepwater Horizon didn't have, they might have to be shut down for a while.
That's what I said. Take a breath. Mm-hmm. Make sure that those shortcuts are not taken.
Okay.
Excuse me, Ed, before you next question.